Big week, trade deadline week, but other news is trying to take it away. We'll get to that. We'll also get to Aaron Judge going down. We're actually
Raleigh, baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Called it, but some of us called it.
That is true. That will be your MVP. We'll get to that.
Probably need my mic on, Scott. It's been a while.
Your mic usually is good. I mean, we can hear you, but we like to hear you better.
It's been a while. Sorry, I apologize.
It has.
We have too busy with other stuff.
Teamed up in studio, AJ, for a minute, so we'll get to Judgy. We actually have our injury expert, Will Carrol, later in the show to cover that. Of course, plenty of trade deadline action, including Jim Bowden joining us in a little past 10 minutes from now. Ken Rosenthal's Fair Territory, fresh one, is already out, and we'll talk to him tomorrow, but that episode should be listened to and consumed after this show. And then real quick, just for a minute, because you weren't on when this went down last week, what did you think of the trades so far? I mean, the big one is Naylor to the Mariners and McMahon to the Yankees. Those are the big name moves.
Yeah, is McMahon considered a big name?
He could play defense.
Yeah.
He could pick it.
Listen, if you can't hit in Colorado, I don't know where you can really – I mean, that's the spot. You better be able to rake there. So, I mean, I think they both fill needs. What surprised me about the Yankees getting McMahon, though, is we all thought they were in play for Suarez. Right? So doesn't that kind of close that window?
Oh, yeah. They're out on Suarez. So there's like 6 to 8 teams in on Suarez.
I know, but we thought Yankees and Suarez were a match.
They either didn't have the capital or didn't want to give up the asking price, or, like Kratz and I talked about the other day, they really needed to fix defensive issues. Gino Suarez, in my mind, is a little below average now. His metrics rate really low, and you know the Yankees are definitely looking tight at that. And McMahon rates elite, so that was part of the mix. But Naylor, that's a guy that hits good pitching. I like that one for Seattle. I thought that was a great move.
Yeah, I agree. I thought that was a good one. He gets big hits, too. The thing about Josh Naylor is he gets big hits. He loves to come up in the clutch for them. And plus it energizes their clubhouse. Now I want to see what some of the other teams do. Like, we get Jim Bowden on, what do the Astros do to answer this, right? The Rangers are coming, by the way, too. The Rangers are charging hard at both those teams. So are they going to do something surprising? I mean, I think this is going to be fascinating the last, 3 days until it's over?
Yeah, even a team like the Royals, who many wanted to sell, they're like, oh, well, they're going to sell. And they're like, no, we're not. We're actually not going to sell, which I thought is pretty cool.
I love that, though. Kratz, you have to love that as a former Royal, right? They're not going to sell.
They're even doing extra, not just not selling. They got Grichuk, obviously paying out money of guy that I heard Seth Lugo's name on the list of, hey, you know what? Maybe the Royals, if they sell, maybe he's a guy that they could move and get a lot of pieces back. They're going for it. So, yeah, my Royals. Love it.
We'll talk more about them later in the show. And later this week, we are on for our trade deadline special, 1 o'clock Eastern time, regular show time. And then we'll go until 6 p.m. Eastern if you're watching us online. On TV, the crowd watching us right now, 1 to 3 Eastern, regular time. But we'll extend that for 3 more hours after TV time. Guests every hour to report on your team's latest moves. When things happen, we'll bring people on. We'll break it down throughout the day. And I think there's going to be a lot because we haven't had much yet. And I think there are a ton of teams that are going to do something. Now, there's one name that we can scratch off the list. He had been talked about quite a bit. Let's get to breaking news. Cleveland Guardians closer Emmanuel Clase has been placed on non-disciplinary paid leave as part of MLB's sports betting investigation. And Clase is joining Luis Ortiz on that investigation and the paid non-disciplinary leave situation. So basically, you get paid to sit. They investigate. They don't want you on the field while they try and figure out what's happening. We'll let you know more details as we learn of anything. Remember, this was 2-3 weeks ago, around July 4th weekend, when we learned about his teammate, Luis Ortiz, and 2 questionable pitches that they were investigating. We haven't heard anything since.
Questionable?
Very questionable pitches. And now his teammate is part of this investigation as well. It sounds like no one else is. That's what the Guardians came out and said. So no one else. It's these 2.
So why didn't this come out when Ortiz came out? Why didn't Clase come out at the same time?
Because maybe
they dug deeper and they found more stuff?
Yeah.
So did they do – I mean, we have a million questions like we got with Ortiz. Or did they do something together? Or did he do the same thing possibly? Not saying they did them, but are they being accused of doing the same thing? Because I think – Kratz, tell me if I'm wrong here, but I think as a pitcher, if you could do, I mean, I don't condone this, but I mean, as a pitcher, if you could say, if you have friends and you say, hey, I'm going to pitch, when I come in to pitch, bet a ball on this pitch and I'll throw a damn pitch out to make sure that they don't swing at it. I mean, that's about as easy of a bet to fix as you could ever get, right? Not saying they did it. I'm just saying, but that hypothetically, like that would be the easiest one to fix in the world.
Yeah, if you can buy that prop of like, hey, the next pitch is going to be a ball or something. How they'd figure it out, it's a little different with Ortiz because he's starting. So it's like, hey, you know what? This inning is when I'll do it. It's not really going to affect the game. Clase, you're closing. So I'm reticent to say, oh, well, something that he was fixing. Maybe there was something, maybe he was gambling on things that I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm not going to speculate. No. I just think why do it? Why do it is my thing.
Here's my thing. Even if he's closing, he can just tell his, the people say, if I come in, next time I pitch, the first pitch is going to be a ball, right? Like, and because you can live bet these things now. Again, I'm not saying he did this, but I'm saying if you were going to do this, this would be like the easiest one because as a hitter, you can't guarantee I can get a hit or I'm going to, or you could say, well, I'm going to swing at this pitch. But like, what if they throw it at you and it hits you? Like, I mean, there's, you can't. The easiest thing to control on a baseball field is if I'm a pitcher and I throw that ball like Ortiz threw that bounced 15 feet in front of home plate and be like, oh, I slipped. Oops, sorry, guys. I don't
Yard
know.
dart.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not saying they did this. I'm not saying any of that. But out of all the things that we've ever talked about as far as gambling goes, this would be the easiest one to self-control.
Now, I'll remind people we catch things like this because bets are placed on regulated apps. It's true. And then that's how they figure this out. In the past, you can't do that. My question is, someone like Luis Ortiz, I'm just looking at finances, is a league minimum guy. Emmanuel Clase is rich. He is rich. He signed a 5-year, $20 million extension back in 2022 with club options. So, for example, going through his salaries, last year he made $2.5 million, and then also was in the playoffs, made some more money. This year, $4.5 million. Next year, $6 million. And then there are back-to-back club team options, or club options. Club and team is the same thing. Good job. $10 million in 2027 and 2028. Again, anybody can do this stuff. My point is, Kratz, it's not like he's underpaid and not in the league for a long period of time. I mean, he is underpaid based on his talent over the last few years, but it's not like this guy isn't making any money. There are many major leaguers who will play 2-3 seasons, make the league minimum, which is still good money, but it's not enough to support you for your entire life. And they're looking outside for influence. This Kratz, he's rich.
He's definitely rich. I mean, look, Luis Ortiz is definitely rich too. Like, he doesn't need to have little piddling things. It is not good. It doesn't look good for the whole situation because they're both on the same team. They're both pitchers on the same team. So if somebody got to these guys, if there's, one of them's buddy, somebody talked to him, it doesn't look good that they're both on the same team. And you hope that no other Guardians are sitting here going, I thought this was like, I wasn't going to get caught. Because it's really, I'm not demeaning it. If these things are true, like, it's not really affecting the game. Like, a closer throws a ball all the time. Starting pitchers throw balls all the time. So they probably feel, if this is the case, like, hey, you know what? We'll get away with this. There's no really ramifications. It'll be interesting to see what happens or what we find out about it. But no, they shouldn't need this money, whatever that money is.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Ippei and Shohei, Ippei was making good money. He still lost a ton betting.
Yeah, Ippei was rich.
Right? Pete Rose was rich. Pete Rose played for like 30 years in the big leagues. Now, it was different money back then, but he was still rich for a normal person.
True.
And he was the manager of the Cincinnati Reds. He was betting on games. Sometimes it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can have debt we don't know about. There could be things that are happening we don't know about. Right? And if it's someone – listen, people are always, no matter how much money you have, they're always looking for a quick way to make another buck. Again, we're not saying – we just want to make this quick. We're not saying that they did this.
No, he's under investigation. That's what we do. Yeah.
But the thing is like, just because you're rich, he's rich, he didn't gamble. I know a lot of rich dudes that gamble a lot for no reason.
Yeah, but gambling is different from betting on baseball.
But the thing about betting, again, I'm going to say this again. The easiest thing to fix in the world in baseball is I am a pitcher. And people in the chat are like, oh, the catcher and pitching coach call the pitches. I could call whatever pitch I want. But if that dude has the ball and I want to call first pitch heater and he throws it over my head, that he can do that.
And he can do this too, or he can shake you off on
hit the button, right? Like that. Whoever calls the pitches doesn't even matter. I could call slider, like Clase, cutter 100 miles an hour, and he throws it 4 feet outside, and he's like, oh, the mound. Oh, dang, I slipped on the mound. And then he goes back, and you see the kick in the dirt, right? Like, or they grab the rosin bag and like, it's sweaty. Like, that would be, honestly, like the Ortiz pitch. The first one was kind of close. The second one was literally nowhere close. Like that, again, not saying he did this, but that is the easiest thing for me in baseball. That would be to say, if I could bet on something that would be it.
Here's the other factor now. Let's get to the team side of things. The Guardians seem to be in light listen for sell mode. This is not necessarily their year, right? Emmanuel Clase might have been traded. It's well documented that Cleveland is very disciplined in trade talks, and some would even say stubborn and difficult, and that's fine. I mean, if you're a Guardians fan, they've been very successful, that front office, so you give them credit. Well, Kratz, it's not getting traded now. They might have been behind the scenes going, hey, this is the year, right? Let's trade him. We've got multiple years left of control plus the options. Let's trade him.
He would have been the most valuable asset. I get it. Eugenio Suarez, 35+ homers. Being able to be traded, everybody needs slug. Everybody would line up for Emmanuel Clase. So to me, that's when teams, I mean, look at a team like the Phillies. They don't have a closer. And you sit there and you go, holy crap, okay. Are we willing to go like big time? Because, hey, you know what? We still have him a few years down the road. And I think those, like you said, those team options are like $10 million a year. $10 million a year for a closer? That's once you kick in those options. I think some team would have gone a little bit crazy for Emmanuel Clase. I think they would have given up 3 marquee prospects. And now the Guardians don't have that choice.
Yeah, and last year he was insane. He was historic. 0.61 ERA.
This year he has not been.
No. He's been okay. Like it's not like he's been a mess.
But he hasn't been as good as he's been in years past.
Not nearly.
The question is, did he know about this?
What do you mean?
Did he know that this investigation was happening?
Oh.
It's like a steroids thing, right? The player knows that they tested positive. They just don't tell anybody until it comes out publicly, right?
If he was doing the same thing as Ortiz, if they're connected, I'm sure he's been a little nervous ever since Ortiz got put on paid leave.
So
sucks. Don't bet on baseball.
One more
factor. How many times can I say it? Don't bet on baseball. Don't bet on baseball. Don't freaking bet on baseball.
What if the Guardians made a surprise run? So there's the sell side. There's also the fact that they're a game under 500, and the Royals are looking to buy a little bit. They're a half game better than the Royals right now. Guardians made the ALCS last year. It's a pretty similar roster from last year. It wouldn't have been the craziest thought to go, oh, here comes Bieber in the second half. Bullpen looks more like it does last year. If you guys get hot, and they're a wild card team. Now you lost your closer, at least for now, through a long period of time.
Well, Ortiz hasn't stiff coming back that we know of. He's not like pitching.
No, these guys are on leave. His leave got extended at one point.
He got extended to the 30th of August.
These guys are both out until at least the end of August. It's a massive blow. 2 pitchers, especially your freaking superstar closer. So we'll let you know if we hear anything else about specifics. But what we do know is Emmanuel Clase is not getting traded, and he's not pitching in the major leagues until at least September as this investigation by Major League Baseball continues. Let's get to trade talk when we come back. Jim Bowden will join us. We'll ask him about this, and then we'll get into a ton of other trade buzz around the league. Kratz, at some point, we're going to laugh about how healthcare was so reactive and not proactive. And we're starting to change that with Superpower. They believe every human has 100+ year potential, and they're here to help you get there. I'm a big believer in this. I just started the journey, so I'm excited about it. And what do you think?
As a player, you're always looking ways to improve yourself, improve your health. And this is an easy way. Superpowers made it way easier than when I was playing. You had to go get all these lab panels, and it was a long, drawn-out, expensive process. But now with Superpower, so this is awesome for me. I'm excited about it.
They'll send a licensed professional to your home, or you can visit a nearby lab. For a limited time, the FT fam can get $50 off an annual Superpower membership by using code FOUL at checkout. Just head to superpower.com and use code FOUL to get our exclusive discount. Your biology decoded, your blueprint activated with Superpower. After your purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them, and please support FT and tell them we sent you.
Toughest thing, no matter whether you're in Philly, Boston, New York, is can they handle the market? Which you guys were talking about earlier on the college ranks. So, if you can play in any of those cities, you can play anywhere in the country. Now it's a matter of, say you guys, we look at a guy that maybe in the Midwest or the West Coast, and you're like, okay, they haven't really played meaningful baseball. Do they know what it's like to be like in a pressure cooker where every little thing is scrutinized? Northeast is that. Philly, Boston, New York, period. Like, it's tough. It's very tough. You better have thick skin. But if you thrive there, I mean, you write your own ticket.
Former Philly back in the early 2000s. He was one of many guests on the Phillles Show yesterday, live in Ocean City at Manco and Manco Pizza. Just wanted to shout out the hard work from the team behind the scenes on Sunday. And also a great little guest lineup. I was listening to Phil Martelli. You know that name.
Basketball coach?
Long time. Yeah, college hoops. Great coach. So he was great. He was excited. It was cool. I mean, Kratz, you got to give us something on all of that.
So disappointed the one day I leave the shore, freaking the show comes down there to my favorite pizza place at the shore, Manco Manco. Like, I grew up going there when it was Mac and Manco. Now it's Manco Manco. The people at Manco Manco are awesome too, by the way. That family, they're starting to get involved with the one charity that I'm in. Like, that family is awesome, and they churn out some pizza. You get a pie on the boardwalk, it better be Manco Manco.
You can catch that show on demand. YouTube pod. Fran Dunphy was on there too. Front Office Unfiltered. It's our resident GM, Jim Bowden. It's the big week. It's the best week, trade deadline week. JB, good to see you. But let's start with the closer market and how it's going to be impacted with Emmanuel Clase off the list. Did you think that he was going to get traded?
Oh, he was going to get traded. There's no doubt. And Chris Antonetti, the president, Mike Chernoff, the GM, have been working 6 weeks at moving Emmanuel Clase. And they were in a really strong position as sellers. And they decided to sell, and that's the direction they were going. And Clase was going to be the headliner at this trade deadline for them. And they were in a great position because we have so many of the contending teams and division-leading teams that were focusing on high-leverage back-end relievers. The Phillies, the Mets, the Dodgers, the Seattle Mariners, the Detroit Tigers. It's just overwhelming the market, and they had one of the top 2 guys, and they had been working very diligently to get it. So this is franchise changing. This is a huge blow for them because this was going to be an opportunity to really reset this organization by using him as trade bait here. And so it is just a huge setback.
Jim, I don't know this, but I'm assuming you never had a guy go under investigation for gambling. Maybe steroids, maybe something else gets suspended right before the trade deadline. But as a GM, president of baseball ops, how do you flip it right away? Because like you said, if they were so close to moving him, then all of a sudden he's off the table, right? Do you think we'll move him in the offseason? And how do you flip your organizational thought process if you've been working on this, like you said, for 6 weeks?
Well, I don't think you can think about trading Clase in the offseason for them to put him on administrative leave through August. There has to be significant evidence on this. And I hate to bring up Jonte Porter in the NBA, but he's been banned for life and he pleaded guilty. I mean, Major League Baseball is not going to do this unless there's overwhelming evidence. Now, he deserves due process. So as a GM, it's a great question, AJ. You know, I do think you always have to pivot, right? I mean, like when the Yankees lost out on Juan Soto, they quickly pivoted to Max Fried. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but you just lost a huge asset. You know, you could pivot now to Cade Smith. Whatever discussions you were having regarding Clase, you know, you can now go back and offer Cade Smith instead. You're not going to get quite the same package. You're going to have to take less, but you still have to go forward. You know, injuries happen in this game where you can have a star player and then all of a sudden he needs Tommy John surgery right before the deadline, and it happens. You mentioned PEDs. You could have a guy gets a PED suspension. So as a GM, you have to roll with it. You don't have a choice. It's unfortunate. It's disappointing. It's a punch in the belly, but you got to pivot always, and you have to move on to the next.
So now let's look at the big picture of the reliever market, JB. What do you have for us? Who do you think is going to be the biggest name of that group to move? Do you think that some of the multi-year team control guys like a Duran or a Jax is going to move versus the rentals, of course, like Orion Helsley?
Yeah, so I think it's going to be a very active market just because that's the goal that these GMs, when I talk to the GMs and I ask what your goal is, impact, high leverage reliever is what you're hearing. I just went through the teams. I don't even think I remember to mention the Texas Rangers in that, right, with Seattle. And so that's the goal. And I think, if you're a team in sell mode, you have a chance to win this trade deadline, right? You have a chance to really help rebuild your franchise by trading your back end guy. So I do expect the Twins to trade either Johan Duran or Griffin Jax. I think Duran will go. I think Ryan Helsley has to go if you're St. Louis. John Mozeliak stepping down, Chaim Bloom's going to take over. I think it would be foolish to hold on to him. You're not going to be able to extend him. I think Raisel Iglesias gets moved. I think David Bednar gets moved. I think Seth Halverson of the Colorado Rockies gets moved. The Nationals are trying to move Kyle Finnegan. He probably gets moved. So, yeah, and even Kenley Jansen of the Angels. I didn't get a chance to talk to Perry Manassian because he was ill over the weekend, but I got to think where they are in the standings right now that they need to move on from Jansen too. So there's a lot of relievers out there. There's a huge buying market for them in particular, and I think it's pretty foolish really for those teams to hold on to them with the possible returns they're going to be able to get in terms of really good prospect returns.
I love what you just said, Jim. I just have one question for you. When? Is it just going to be a last-minute flurry?
Thursday.
No, I know.
That's what I was
it's just going to be a last-minute flurry. Everyone's going to wait. Best offer. Nobody wants to jump on this now. And maybe, hey, say you get one of these bullpen guys and they win you a game Tuesday or Wednesday instead of waiting till Thursday. Why are we waiting till the last minute? Let's get this going, people.
Yeah. No, I'd like it to, but I talked to several GMs yesterday, and they said it's going to be Thursday, and it's going to be a flurry, and everyone's going to pivot once the first guy goes. What the contending GMs and presidents do right now is we have lined up our priority list of who we want, right? So if we had Clase 1, Duran 2, Bednar 3, Helsley 4, for example, I now have to take Clase off the board, right? So now before I make my legitimate final offer for Bednar and Helsley, I need to make sure that Derek Falvey and the Twins tells me I can't get Duran. And I'm going to tell Ben Sherrington, who's got Bednar, and John Mozeliak has Helsley, I want your guys. They're second and third on my list. I've got to see if I can get Duran first. So now the Minnesota Twins hold it up. If they want to wait to Thursday to get their best offer, which, with Clase off the board, price just went up, right? If you're selling. So, you're probably going to have to wait for Thursday morning or Thursday afternoon. And when the first guy goes and I didn't get him, I'm going to go to my second guy and try to close that. And then if that doesn't work, I'll go to my third guy and then the fourth guy and the fifth guy. There's not enough to go around. So that's why it gets delayed. I think we'll have a trickle of trades, today and tomorrow. I think we'll see some action Wednesday. But I think Thursday for the reliever market is when you're going to get the blizzard, the tornado, and the hurricane all in one.
Is there a team that's lined up or primed to get two of these guys? You talk about everybody's bidding everybody. There's so many guys that need high leverage relievers, and there's a decent amount out there. Is there a team that's in line to get two of them?
I think when we say two of them, I think the two would have to be Bednar and Dennis Santana, which isn't really
Okay.
two impact closers. That really wasn't your question, but I think that's possible with the Phillies or Mets. They've had a lot of discussions with the Pirates regarding that. But to answer your question, no, I don't think you're going to see a team that gets Duran and Bednar or Helsley and Duran. I don't think that's going to happen because I think each team's going to do better taking advantage of who's left. I talked to Jerry Dipoto, the president of the Seattle Mariners, yesterday, and I asked him if he was done after making his great trade for Josh Naylor, and he said no. I mean, I'm going all in. I'm there. I'm going. And he's got his owners willing to spend money at this deadline. He has a farm system that's literally loaded. There's no reason why he shouldn't finish the job. And as a former major league reliever himself, that's his priority. That being said, I asked him if he was still in on Suarez, expecting a no, and he said, if I can add impact at third base, I'll do that too. So I think Seattle is going to be very, very fascinating here over the next couple of days here, without a doubt. And I also think the other two teams that are very intriguing right now are the Cubs and the Phillies. And I just bring them up, you guys, just because I'm just hearing the Cubs are going after every top starter out there, right? Edward Cabrera and Sandy Alcántara in Miami, Mitch Keller in Pittsburgh, MacKenzie, Gore in Washington, and that Jed Hoyer's obsessed with getting one, and he's got enough in his system. He could snap his fingers and get a deal done there. And Dave Dombrowski, you get the sense, and we covered and watched Dave Dombrowski win a world championship with the Florida Marlins and the Boston Red Sox. We saw him get the Tigers there, the Phillies there, but he really wants to get that world championship ring with the Phillies. And I feel like this is the year that he's gonna absolutely put that accelerator at full blast, get that back end reliever that he wants. And I believe he was in on Clase and Kwan. I thought there was a chance he gets both of them. I won't be surprised, though, if he's the guy that ends up with Duran and he's the guy that ends up with Lewis Robert. That wouldn't surprise me at all.
By the way, Jim, something you just said that I laughed about, Jerry Dipoto making trades like him, AJ Preller, Dave Dombrowski. I mean, it's like, you get a trade, you get a trade, you get a trade. Everyone gets a trade. Boom, 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 boom. Right? I mean, the only one, Jed Hoyer, is a little more calculated, but the other ones are like, oh, you want this? Okay, we'll give you that. We'll give you that. We'll trade. Yeah, we'll make trade just to make trade. Sometimes it feels like Dipoto just made trades to make trades just to say, hey, I tried, guys, with trades. But for them to have money, that's big news.
Yeah, I think he's been a little bit more measured, though, over the last year and a half, looking back, right? I think you're right. I think when he first went to Seattle, even with the Angels, he was wheeling and dealing left and right. I think he's learned to be a little bit more measured, going after specifically what he wants. I think he's worked really hard to build this team. I asked him yesterday, is this the best baseball team you've ever overseen? And he said yes. And remember, he had that 98 win team with the Angels when he was GM there. Had a lot of stars back then. But he says this is the best team he's had. And I would tend to agree with him. And I think when you look at it, you really want to finish the job when you're this close. Because, if you're able to get a Duran or a Bednar here for the back end of the bullpen, and if you were able to miraculously somehow get Suarez as well, you'd have as good a chance not only to win the division, you'd have a good chance to win the World Series too with the pitching they have. And they're going to get Bryce Miller back soon, so they're going to be 6 starting pitchers deep if you include Logan Evans. So I think Dipoto has grown with the job there. It takes a long time to learn how to do this job, right? It really does. And the more experience you have, the wiser you get, the less mistakes you make. And I think Jerry has turned the corner that way, but I totally understand where you're coming from there.
JB, so we know a lot of these relievers are going to move. Do you feel the same way about the impact starters? And when I say impact starter, someone who you would trust in a playoff game, right? Basically a top 3 guy. Do you think that Sandy Alcántara actually will be moved? MacKenzie, Gore, Mitch Keller, it sounded like over the weekend they were still deliberating about, or I'm like, are they actually just trying to get the right price for him?
Yeah, it's a great question, and my answer is I'm not sure. Okay, so what I'm being told by the Marlins camp is they are not going to trade Alcántara for a discounted package. So if somebody wants to pay him as if he was the National League Cy Young Award winner like he was a few years ago, then they will trade him. But if no one's going to offer that package, then they're going to keep him. And they feel like they have figured out some things with him. They think he's going to have a strong August and September, and they would prefer to wait until the offseason when teams understand that it costs $200 million to go get a premium starter, and then they'll see if they can get a better trade package there. So I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone's going to step up and pay that kind of price for Alcántara. I mean, I'd ask you guys if you would. I mean, certainly his last start looked great, but with his inconsistencies all year and coming back from Tommy John, sometimes it's the next year that you're better. So I would think it's more likely they trade Cabrera than Alcántara at this point. Now, in terms of MacKenzie Gore, it's kind of a fascinating position, right? So you have an interim GM in Mike DeBartolo in Washington, right? And that interim tag is huge, right? It's in bright lights, right? With exclamation points all around it, interim. So we know they're trying to move Mike Soroka and Kyle Finnegan, and they probably will. But they're not going to get a return that's going to help the career of Mike DeBartolo, right? We're going to look and say, okay, you got a solid mid-level prospect for each of them, nice going. And that's going to be it, right? But what if he gets the huge package from the Cubs on MacKenzie Gore? What would that do for his career? If he walks into the owner and said, look at the package of these 4 guys that I can get for Gore, and this is what we think of these guys and how it will impact us going forward, that might allow him to get rid of that interim in front of the GM, right? And they're going to hire a president of baseball operations, but perhaps, let's just say they can get Erik Neander from Tampa to be the president of the Washington Nationals. He could keep DeBartolo in theory as the GM, or the owner could make that part of the deal. But I think the only way Mike DeBartolo probably gets to keep this is make a splash at the deadline and show people how good you are at what you do, and don't be afraid. The Nationals are not going to sign MacKenzie Gore long term. He's represented by Scott Boras, and ownership is still upset about the Patrick Corbin contract, the Steven Strasburg contract, the fact they're still paying Max Scherzer to pitch for Toronto. So I kind of find it fascinating and look forward to seeing what happens there.
By the way, you asked me the question. I'll give you the answer, Jim. I would not trade for Alcántara like he's a number 1 because he hasn't pitched like it. And yes, I know he's cheap, but there's no guarantee he's going to bounce back. So no, I would not. But that's just me, and I'm not a GM, and my job's on the line. So I'm just saying. But let's move on to a different team. Let's move to a different team. Kansas City. Why is Kansas City buying? I mean, they're signing Lugo to an extension. Why did they bring in Grichuk? Because I just don't see them being a team that can, even if they sneak into the playoffs, can they do damage?
No, I don't think so. They're buying because they don't have expiring contracts. They were in the playoffs last year. They're hoping to get Cole Reagans back at some point. Noah Cameron's been really good in the rotation. If they trade Lugo, they weren't going to get the return that was going to be significant, and they quite frankly think that even if they don't win this year, they can bounce right back next year and be right back in it. And Lugo's been really effective for them. And the way he pitches, there's no reason to think he can't pitch this way for 2 or 3 more years. So I thought it was a really good move to sign him. Now, in terms of getting Grichuk and getting Adam Frazier, they're little moves, but Grichuk can still hit left-handed pitching. Jack Caglione went down with a hamstring. He can fill in there. He's a major league 4th outfielder. Frazier can play different positions. Look, we all want a team to improve by a yard or a foot or an inch, but sometimes a centimeter makes you a little bit better. I think they would like to go bigger if they can. I think they would love to go get a big, powerful left fielder that can impact the middle of the lineup. That would be their goal. They'd like to use their catching depth in the minor leagues to do that. They haven't been able to do it. They're going to continue to try to do it. But without expiring contracts and the fact that you're building around Bobby Witt Jr. and Michael Garcia and Jack Caglione and Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez is still performing, and you still have 2 top catching prospects in Carter Jensen and Blake Mitchell coming. I understand where they are. Estevez is controllable, Urseg is controllable. I think they need to keep adding, and whether it be this year or the next year or the year after, I kind of understand what they're trying to do here.
JB, I got to ask, we've talked about pitchers mostly. Some teams are getting some of the position players. Would you do, because the Mets need a center fielder, Luis Robert Jr. for Mark Vientos straight up?
No, I'd hold on to Mark Vientos. I mean, I really like what I saw with Vientos last September and October, and I can't get that out of my head. I think I saw it, and I think we can bring that back. Luis Robert's kind of a polarizing guy, right? We all love his tools. He's a plus defender in center field. He's got power. He's got speed. He hasn't hit for a couple of years. He's dealt with injuries. He's got a groin right now. I would take a chance on him if it was the right spot to take a chance on him. I think it's risky, to be honest with you. Sometimes it doesn't look like he wants to play. Sometimes I don't know if is he kind of lackadaisical, not focused because he's been on a last place team the last several years, or because there's no help around the lineup to help him, so he ends up chasing pitches he normally wouldn't chase if there was more help around the lineup. Like, I look at Robert and I would say to myself, if I were the Phillies, I would take a chance on him, because I think if I could put his locker in between Schwarber and Harper, I think we'd have a chance of maximizing what he's capable of doing. It would be a good ballpark for him, putting him in a winning atmosphere and see what I can get. But I wouldn't give up too much to get him. I think, if I were to give up a top 10 prospect, probably one that's in the more 6 to 10 range, that would probably make sense, and then a throw in. But that would be about the extent of my interest.
JB, if the White Sox got Mark Vientos for Luis Robert Jr., Chris Getz would be doing backflips down Michigan Avenue tomorrow. Trust me. I mean, I was just in Chicago. The number one question is, are we trading Luis Robert? I'm like, what can they get for him because of what you just said? So if he could get Mark Vientos straight up, he would be doing backflips down Michigan Avenue.
Oh, I know. That's why I said I wouldn't do Vientos for him.
Also, right now, JB, you're not picking up the 20 mil option unless he picks it up for the last couple months of the season. If you're a GM of almost any team, right? 20 mil?
I'm not picking it up. No.
Right. So the value is
and I'm not giving up
was.
that much, as I said. I'm just not. Too many questions with him.
Last one, JB. I'll do it for you. This little pat on the back. The team I think you've hyped more than anyone else this year as just give it time. The Texas Rangers have won 9 of 10 games. So here they come. I want to get the Texas update. Astros just got swept by the A's. The lead has gotten a little tight for them in the AL West. What do you have for us on the Rangers and the Astros over the next few days?
Yeah, okay, let's start with the Astros. I talked to Dana Brown, the general manager of the Astros, yesterday. He was very clear what he was looking for at the deadline. He wants a left-handed hitter, preferably an infielder that could play second or third base, but he would take a left fielder because they can move Altuve back into second base. Some of the names that I'm hearing from opposing GMs as possible fits include Ryan O'Hearn of the Orioles, Brandon Lau of the Tampa Bay Rays, Ozzie Albies of the Atlanta Braves, although my Atlanta sources tell me that they haven't even talked about Albies. Okay, so there's that. And then the other thing is he wants a Game 3 starter for the playoffs. Those are the two goals. They feel great about Valdez and Hunter Brown pitching games 1 and 2. They love having Abreu and Hader in the back end, and they're left-handed setup guys. He would love to get that Game 3 starter. They are going to get Spencer Getty off the IL coming up pretty soon. But if he can go out there and get an upgrade there, that's what he would like to do. And look, they're going to have to make moves. I'm amazed that they're still in first place with no Yordan Alvarez, no Jeremy Pena, no Isaac Paredes, Tucker playing in Chicago, Bregman playing in Boston. To think that they're there is amazing to me. But they're going to have a hard time staying in first place because Seattle got way better getting Naylor, and they've got all their pitchers healthy now. And the Rangers, as I said, they were my preseason pick to win the division. Texas Rangers have the best team ERA in the sport by a half a run. That's how they pitch. And they got DeGrom and Evaldi who pitch games 1 and 2. I texted with Chris Young and Brett Boone over the weekend, try to get a feel for where they are. It's pretty clear for me what they're trying to do right now. They want a high-end reliever like Clase, who's now off the board. That would be the first goal. The second goal is they really want a right-handed hitter as well. I'll be surprised if CY doesn't get both of them.
Wow.
Jim,
okay.
Al Pacino told me to never name drop, okay? Like you just did.
No, you got to do it. You got to do it this time of year. These are direct sources.
Credibility.
Got
to do it. Credibility.
Exactly. His front office show on Sunday.
And by the way, Kyle Tucker would be a great left-handed bat in Houston.
Too soon. Too soon.
Yeah, just saying, he'd look great in there. He'd look great.
They love Cam Smith.
And Isaac Paredes has been great for him. So, I mean.
Well, now he's hurt.
I know, but he was great for him.
He was great.
He made the All-Star team.
It was a good trade for both sides.
Amen.
JB, awesome stuff. We'll catch you later this week.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Thank you. At Jim Bowden GM, give him a follow. He's dialed, and check out his articles in The Athletic this week. FT fam, we have a special offer for you if you go to surfshark.com/foul or use the code FOUL at checkout. Get yourself 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. It's a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. And you can see more information in our show notes. It's surfshark.com/foul. And why should they check out Surfshark VPN, Kratz?
Well, this is a no-brainer because I travel a lot and I'm online. I need to have that security. And as a former catcher, I need someone else to catch my digital threats online. Surfshark's the place.
It's time to take control of your online security. Try Surfshark today and enjoy their 30-day money-back guarantee. Secure your digital world now. Visit the link below. It's in the notes. Start surfing securely. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Check out surfshark.com/foul. This is crazy. We had a commenter on Friday randomly during the show say something along the lines of, when are we going to give more respect to Nick Kurtz? This was Friday afternoon. And I'm monitoring the chat pretty closely. I'll give you the name later. He had the best rookie performance from a hitter in Major League history. And perhaps Kratz, the best, right, in history. But perhaps the best performance, period, from a hitter in Major League history in one game. 6 for 6, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs, 6 runs scored, which is super rare in our game. 19 total bases and a 15-3 win over Houston. Whoa.
That was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. And he just I wonder if he slapped Jacob Wilson or not and was like, hey, Jacob, this is my Rookie of the Year award now. So if you weren't paying attention, I would still take Shohei's game last year that he broke the record and he had 10, 12. I think that was more of an impressive game, but 6 for 6. He pushed his average above 300 with this game. He has 23 dingers by this game, and his OPS is over 1,000 at the end of this game. This is a career. He may never have another game like this, and he could have a really good career. It was unbelievable to have that as a rookie. He was in college last year.
He's never going to have another game like this. No one in the history of baseball has ever had a game like this. And he missed a 5th home run by about 1.5 feet. So, listen, this is the best hit. This has got to go down as the best game a hitter has ever had in the history of the sport. 6 for 6, 6 runs scored. There was 7 things that he did in this game that no one in the history of the game had ever done. He did them all in one game.
Incredible. I have some trivia on it we'll do later. Injury expert Will Carrol is here. Check out the Substack Under the Knife for the best info on trade or on injuries with players. And we've got a big one, Will. We called you in. You have the bat phone ringing for this one. Aaron Judge on the IL. Elbow issue, not a tear as far as we know in the UCL. But when he comes back, he's going to have to DH. Give us everything you have on this one. This is a top 2 player in our sport. Should Yankee fans be concerned?
You know, a lot of people were very worried. I sent out a flash on Saturday afternoon when this happened to let everybody know, because the rumors were flying that this was a UCL tear. And now that the news comes out that it's a flexor strain, everybody's like, oh, it could have been a lot worse. No, it couldn't have. This is worse than the UCL tear. I know that's strange to say, but for a hitter, if you can remember just a couple of years ago, Bryce Harper ruptured his UCL and continued hitting, took the team to the playoffs, and then had surgery after the season. Barely missed any time, barely threw off his game other than change positions. For Judge, a flexor tendon, which is what you need to rotate the bat, to maintain grip, to make those fine adjustments that you have to make, this is everything. Without this, he cannot play, which is why he's on the IL. And as we've seen with pitchers, this doesn't heal quickly. This small little tendon, which overlaps with the UCL, often takes a month or even more to heal up. So first, he's not going to be able to throw. That locks him in at DH. That certainly makes a problem with Giancarlo Stanton, who's had his own issues with his elbows. Second, we don't know when he's going to be able to hit. It's not like the UCL where it isn't involved in the swing. It's very involved in the swing. So this could go much past the 15-day. We don't have a solid read on this. Secondarily, they were very precise with their wording on exactly what's going on with their elbow. They were clear that there's a flexor strain. They didn't say exactly how much. I hear it's a grade 2, which is bad, but that one could be worse. But they just said the UCL was intact. They didn't say it was fine. They didn't say there was no damage. The whole no structural damage thing is often a little bit of a misnomer. So in this situation, this for Judge, this is bad. For the Yankees, this is bad.
Okay, I have two questions off what you just said. One, how many times do we see pitchers flexor strain then Tommy John? Like it seems like pitcher flexor strain, month later, oh, we tried to come back. Oh, we're actually having Tommy John, right? And then two, best guess. I'm not asking, but best guess, how long do you think he will be? I know you're saying no timetable, but best guess, how long until Aaron Judge can be at least a DH for the Yankees?
Let's start with the second one. I think it's going to be closer to a month. If we just absolutely take out throwing from this, it's still going to affect his swing. So I think we're going to be able to see in about 15 days how long this is going to take. I don't think we're going to know in a week because he's going to have to let this calm down. I'm sure they're hitting it with biologics and anti-inflammatories, giving it every possible way to heal up. But the question is, how is he going to be functionally? And luckily, because of things like the Traject machine that the Yankees love, they're going to be able to test that out pretty quickly. They're going to use light bats. They're going to use all sorts of functional equipment to see exactly when he can swing. So I think it'll be closer to a month than the 15 days. But again, that's just a best guess. As for the former part, the flexor to UCL, yeah, you see it a lot in pitchers. Yeah, here we are in 2025. We know a lot. We've come a long way with sports medicine, but we still don't know why the UCL breaks. If you go back to the research, it shouldn't hold up to one pitch, let alone hundreds. We've changed how people pitch. We haven't had a 120 pitch outing this season in the major leagues. So what we're doing doesn't work. We know that, but the actual biomechanical effects, we simply don't know what causes it. But we've got a lot of theories, and one of those is that the flexor and the forearm acts as a brake, which takes some of the stress off the UCL. So if you take that away, bad things happen. Just like if you cut the brakes on a car, nothing good's going to happen after that.
Judge said he wanted to come back at the end of the 10 days.
Yeah.
There was a big argument. He didn't even want to go on the IL. I'm assuming, based on what you're saying, that the medical team's like, no, this isn't good. Is there some type of wrap, some type of like brace? Because we saw Harper had, I know it was his lead arm, he had that brace when he was going through and recovering from Tommy John. Is there something that they could brace it and maybe get him back in the 10 days?
Yes. You could basically treat this like a UCL sprain, excuse me. You could brace him up and see how it goes. And I'm sure that's something, if they haven't already done, they're going to do. I think the bigger question here is throwing. For Harper, they just shifted him to DH. They knew the throwing wasn't going to happen. So if they're going to do that with Judge, that would certainly improve the odds of return. I just think it's the simple function of the flexor versus the UCL. The UCL is not involved at all. It's not under stress during a normal swing. If you hyperextend, yes, a little bit, but that doesn't often happen. But the flexor, if you take away Aaron Judge's grip with his unique swing, I just don't think he's going to be effective. I think he's going to miss. I think he's not going to be able to track pitches as well. He's not going to be able to make those really fine motor adjustments. Just think about you guys have done this. How do you adjust to one of these, Jacob Misarowski sweepers that are moving, 65 feet, it feels like? How do you deal with a sinker running in on you? It's those fine adjustments. You have to make those. I just don't think he's capable of that, at least in the short term.
We've all seen a lot of us have seen the video of Judge making the throw in Toronto where he kind of he's like, could the Yankees have done something different to avoid this? Or was this just like one throw, something happened, and if it was going to happen, it was going to happen?
Well, he said it happened on a throw in Toronto, and I've gone back and I don't really see any indication. There was a kind of weak-ish throw. I mean, he's got a good arm, not a plus arm. So, no, I don't think it was one thing. I think it probably built up to this. He probably felt a grab at one point, and then the thing that's different for outfielders is they don't warm up. You know, you're out there standing around for a while. You're not making as many throws. You're certainly not doing something there. You can see him kind of grabbing at it. So it's one of those situations where I don't think it was one thing, but it probably feels to him like one thing. Could you brace him up? Yeah, you could put one of those big robot looking braces on him, but it's really going to affect how he throws. I just don't think he's going to be able to do that. The question is, can you brace him up and have him swing? And I think there's going to be issues with that.
All right. Well, whenever he comes back, he's definitely going to be DHing. How much that puts a strain on Giancarlo Stanton's elbows, the issue that he had, not even talking about his legs, his running, everything. Is that whatever it was that, I mean, I remember reading, I think it was like a tennis elbow in both elbows. Is that something that is more or less inflamed, or like if you're playing in the outfield, is it something that's clearly they're worried about G's health playing in the outfield when they can't DH him?
Yeah, this one's an odd one. They called it tennis elbow, but really what it is tendinosis, which is, tendonitis is just inflammation of a tendon. In this case, one in the elbow. It's basically the opposite side of the UCL, but everybody kind of understands tennis elbow and what causes it. And it's usually vibration. It's usually overuse. I've heard a lot of talk about just how many swings he takes. And did that wear on him and cause those changes? Tendinosis is when there's actually cellular level changes in the tendon itself. And tendons are a weird thing. When you take a tendon and transplant it either into an ACL or a UCL, it actually physically becomes that over a period of about 5 years. So when you see cellular level changes, those aren't going to get better. So he's basically got this chronic issue that he's having to deal with over and over. They've been able to maintain it. He certainly hasn't been the same player he's been over past years. This is one that's just going to continue to get worse. If you add throwing into it, it's not going to be great. I keep thinking back, and you guys will probably remember this one. When Albert Pujols hurt his elbow, I think it was 2003. They used to run Edgar Renteria out to him to take a really deep cutoff. They would even kind of undercut it with the first baseman. I forget who it was at that point. I think it was probably Tino Martinez. But they would almost do a double cut for deep things just to make sure that Pujols didn't have to throw, because he frankly couldn't at that stage. So maybe with either Stanton or Judge, you could do something similar there. Both of their middle infielders have good arms.
Crazy. Well, I mean, I don't know why they would. I mean, Stanton has to go in the outfield, I guess. But wow, I mean, if he can't throw, it's going to be interesting. But let's talk about two other teams that are having injury issues of their own. The Braves, every pitcher they have seems to be going down. And the Dodgers, is this an organizational thing, or is this just one of those years where everything went wrong?
Both. For the Braves, it was completely unplanned. I mean, you never plan for injuries, but you don't expect to have an injury stack where every single pitcher on the opening day roster is gone now. They've had to bring in people. They've had to make, I don't want to call it a desperation trade for Fetty, but that's essentially what it is. They have so many young arms that they've brought up maybe a little bit early, and you saw the same with the Dodgers. And both have had costs. You bring up guys and put them in situations where they haven't pitched this much. They certainly haven't pitched at this level. I remember the Dodgers having to bring guys up from Double-A, which isn't as unusual, but it certainly costs them. And we saw the cost. Emmett Sheehan is just now coming back from Tommy John after he was coming up. With the Braves, look, the idea that Chris Sale or Spencer Strider or some of these are going to have injuries, yeah, that's part of the deal. We understand that, first off, these are injury-prone players that have had a history of it, and history of injuries is the best predictor of future injuries. These guys have had Tommy John surgeries. Strider's on his second. Same with the Dodgers. They've brought in a lot of players that are really, really talented, really expensive, but also really injury prone. Tyler Glasnow has always had that issue. Blake Snell always had that issue. They signed Roki Sasaki knowing that he'd had issues last year and pretty much every season of his career because he's just so talented. On the other hand, with the bullpen, that's the problem, is they just don't have other arms. It should be the easiest thing to collect arms. It seems like everybody out there just throws 96 with a sweeper. But everybody that throws 96 with a sweeper seems to get hurt. So there's a trade-off there. I think with both these organizations, they've got to address whether or not their processes are good, but these are both really good medical staffs. If anybody has an elbow injury or a shoulder injury or a knee injury, one of the first calls is to Neil Elitrosh, the director of medicine for the Dodgers and the Rams and virtually everybody else. So I don't think that's the problem. I think the front office is going to have to look at themselves and say, are we just taking on too many things to hold together? I mean, obviously it's worked. They're still winning. They've got a World Series ring. So if they're just going to accept those kinds of risks and figure out how to make do with the 6 starters they've had healthy at any point, it's hard to say it hasn't worked, but man, it's a lot of work on that medical staff.
All right. Well, you said one thing interesting to me. You said they bring these kids up from Double A and they're not used to it. Is rushing them hurting arms, or is it right? Because like every organization kind of does the same. We're going to baby him. We're going to baby him. We're going to baby him. Why? Like, tell them don't throw 98, throw 95, and try to save something. Right?
Yeah.
You don't have to throw a 100-mile-an-hour sweeper on every pitch. I don't know. It's a question we could do 10 shows on this issue for me.
I don't think you can say don't throw your hardest and then a hitter turns on you and you're sent back to the minor leagues and you say, well, that didn't work. You see guys called up, you see guys signed because they throw 100, 101, 104. We're seeing velocity is what people are changing or chasing. We're seeing all this pitch design that's putting more stress. That's why we're seeing all these lat strains. We're seeing a ton more oblique strains because guys are getting imbalanced. This isn't news. I don't think it's the rushing. I really think actually getting guys through. You guys were talking about Nick Kurtz, second best game ever, by the way. Sean Green had one that was just a little bit better. It's one of those things where when you look at what's happening, I was looking at Grant Holmes today, the Braves pitcher that just went down. He was in the minor leagues for like a decade, and the highest he ever went was 148 innings, and that was back in like 2017. Most of these pitchers that we see, these top minor league prospects, aren't going to touch 100 innings this year. Forget the idea that we're going to have guys who are throwing 190, 200 innings at the major league level. Those days seem to be gone, and there's no good reason for it. I'm sure you guys talked to guys who threw 250, 300 innings not that long ago, back when you guys were playing. That was regular. When I started out at Baseball Prospectus, we had a stat called pitcher abuse points, which was when we were seeing guys go 150, 160 pitches. We haven't had one go 120. I think the biggest problem is that at the minor league level, we're not setting these guys up for success because they're not putting on any workload. Babying them isn't working just differently than overworking them was. We've got to find a middle ground. I think there's some methods that would work, but that would take a whole different segment of the show.
Yep, I'm with you. We used the example close to home for you, White Sox. Who was it, Noah Schultz?
Yeah, he went 3 years in the minor leagues and never threw 5 innings. Never made it to a 5th inning. Never made a 5th inning. Like, what are we doing? I don't know. Trust me, I don't understand. If you talk to pitchers, they don't understand it. But the more we baby them, the more they get hurt.
Yeah, you pitch more in high school and college in terms of length in a game, and then you go backwards for a while. Make it make sense.
I'll make it. I think there's pitchers out there that could throw a lot more. The issue is we don't have any sort of system. If I wanted to say, hey, go bench press 300 pounds, I'm not going to strap 300 pounds on there and hope. I'm going to build up to it. Or for Kratz, I guess that would be just Tuesday.
It is.
It's one of those days or things where why don't we use the systems that work? If I want to run a marathon, I don't just go run a marathon, I build up to it. Why don't we see if these guys can throw 85, 90, 95, 100? There are guys out there that probably go full Levon Hernandez and throw 150 innings every other, or 150 pitches every other day, who could go 300 innings the way guys used to, but we don't have any system to get there.
It's a good point. Yeah, it's a broken system right now, and I have not seen many fixes. We talk about it a lot the last few years, but not many fixes yet, which is a damn shame.
It is a
Will? Yeah.
billion-dollar problem. And if you think about any of these billionaire owners, if they had any other business where they were burning money like this, they would be doing something. Please tell me what the league is doing.
They're very focused on something else, which we're going to cover next. They are. They're very focused on something else. And multitasking seems to be a problem. And the report that they came out with, which, again, we could spend a lot of time on. I know way less than you and than most, and I didn't learn much from that report. So I was like, oh, boy, this is where we're at. Anyway, well, this was awesome, man. Thanks for jumping on with us. Appreciate the time. We'll catch you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Make sure you check out the Substack, Under the Knife. Will gives all this info and much more. Hey, quick shout out. Another spot for questions past the show is Chat BCC. So if you've got something for us, just head over there right now, reply to the latest comment in the host chat, and we'll get to one or two of your questions later in the show. Let's go back to the top of what Will said. Aaron Judge has a pretty significant injury here. The Yanks are downplaying it. That's the job of the team. Were you more concerned when you heard what Will said?
Yeah, I didn't realize this was that big of a deal. I mean, I've heard what Kratz heard, which is he was going to be back in 10 days and didn't want to go on the IL. But now all of a sudden, what Will was saying was a month. That puts him to the end of August. They're already falling behind the Blue Jays rapidly. And you lose your best player by far. Like, that's a huge blow.
They're a game and a half up in the wild card. Like we're not talking about. It's like they're looking up at the Blue Jays, like we got to catch them, and all of a sudden, like, oh crap, here comes the Rangers, here comes the Mariners. There's a lot of teams that are chasing them here, and if it's a month, that's news to me. That is, I would be surprised if he comes back too soon. Oh, he came back too soon. If it re-aggravates it or it makes it worse, which is the last thing you want.
It gets tricky. But this is why you're looking at the wild card seats. Yankees, Red Sox, Mariners hold them, and Mariners and Rangers are tied 56-50, right? So one of those teams on the outside kind of looking in. And then it's the Rays 3 games out, Guardians 3.5 out, Royals 4 out, Angels 5 out. It helps to explain why some of these teams might not sell. I'm talking about the Royals, who clearly are not
Guardians selling. Angels should sell.
It's sounding more and more like the Rays are going to sell.
Rays are probably going to sell. I hate to say it. Rays are probably going to sell.
They've got a great pitching staff. They should not be selling.
I know, but they try to thread the needle where they buy and sell at the same time. It's I don't know.
You got to look at your surroundings. They should not be selling.
Why don't the Giants have anything to sell?
What do you mean?
They already did. They got Rafi Devers with their pieces to sell.
What do you mean? Why don't they have anything to sell? They're 3 games out of a wild card spot. They're buying.
3 games. See ya. That's the max. If you're at 4 or 5, they lose 2 more. They're on a slide. Buster Posey. Nobody even talks about what pieces they would have.
There was actually an article in The Athletic this morning about Camilo Doval, but I don't think they're selling. Pirates this week.
Ooh.
For the Giants.
Pirates are hot.
Pirates playing good.
True.
Oh, the White Sox stuff.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Absolutely scathing quotes coming out from that Phillies player meeting that Rob Manfred held a week ago. We heard some of the fire that came out of it from Nick Castellanos last week, but now we've got the full back and forth exchange that involved Bryce Harper and Rob Manfred. Quiet for the majority of the meeting. This is in an ESPN article. New York Post was on this. A bunch of the sites now have all this up. But in Jeff Passan's article, quiet for the majority of the meeting. Bryce Harper, sitting in a chair and holding a bat, eventually grew frustrated about, and I'm paraphrasing here, Manfred's salary cap innuendo, because they talked a lot about how he was hinting around that, and talking down to the players, and said if MLB were to propose a cap and hold firm to it, players, quote, this according to Harper, are not scared to lose 162 games, sources in the meeting told him. Harper stood up, walked toward the middle of the room, faced up to Manfred and said, if you want to speak about that, you can get the bleep out of our clubhouse. Manfred, sources said, responded that he was not going to get the bleep out of here, saying it was important to talk about threats to MLB's business and ways to grow the game. Nick Castellanos did speak on the record again about this. He said both of them, Kamish and Bryce, were giving it back and forth to each other. He said, that's Harp. He's been doing this since he was 15 years old. It's just another day. I wasn't surprised. Castellanos later said, Manfred seems to be in a pretty desperate place on how important it is to get this salary cap because he's floating the word lockout 2 years in advance of our collective bargaining agreement expiration. Said that's nothing to throw around. That's the same thing as me saying in a marriage, I think divorce is a possibility. It's probably going to happen. You just don't say those things. And in the back of our heads, we're like, why are you talking to us like owning a baseball team is like owning a nail salon? That you're only going to be a functional business if you can make up the money that you put in this year.
I love this.
Drop the mic. Oh my God.
I love this.
Wow.
I mean, Bryce Harper, nose to nose.
Can we air that next time? That would get millions. Oh my gosh. MLB, you want to fix some content issues? Because Manfred was on record the other day saying he's buying into creators like us now and he's into it, right? You want to fix it? Well, he said it on the record.
Well, not us.
Not us. Yes, he doesn't own a piece of us. They do not touch us at all. They, in fact, don't let us use like any highlights. Anyway, you want some content? Give me that meeting streaming live.
Yeah. And people in the chat are like, Harper should get suspended. Why?
What? For
this
what?
has nothing to do with anything. This is his opinion. And Castellanos, what he said, like, that's what he said. Perfect. Like, what he said was awesome.
You're not allowed to tell the commissioner to get out of your clubhouse in the middle of a playoff race because he's talking to a bunch of veterans about why they need a salary cap to fix their lives?
I think maybe Rob should have maybe measured his words. I think he's going into other clubhouses. Think about how young some of the other clubhouses are. And if he goes in there and says, I could get you guys more money, and those guys are like, I could get $300,000, $400,000 more a year? That would be awesome. He's going into these guys' clubhouse, and you got Schwarber, Harper, Wheeler, Nola, Castellanos,
on and
Turner,
on. Yeah.
Dudes that are making hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're like, no. We're not looking for $300,000 extra a year to the minimum salary. We want what's best for the game. And he obviously is coming in here like a preemptive strike for a lockout. I loved his analogy. You use the word divorce in a happy marriage, like you're giving yourself and you're making that kind of thing happen. Like he's using the word lockout before it's even like, how is that good faith? Legally, federal law says you have to negotiate, you have to have good faith negotiations. And if he's already saying, oh, you know what, to build the game, we're going to have to lock it out. All right, fans, just make sure you know if that happens, who's the one that locked it out. It's not a strike. The players aren't doing this. This is an ownership that's saying, we're going to go ahead and lock you guys out till we get what we want.
My thing is were there any of the players in there?
Oh, the player group. The cap, the players that he brings around?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question. We should ask one of them.
I
actually think that's making his case worse because everyone knows the deal. Like you're bringing what? You think that's helping?
What do you mean? Why is that making it worse?
Because don't you think current players are like, why are you bringing these guys around to try and turn us against ourselves and vote for things that you want?
I think there's informed players that are confused by that tactic, but I don't think he's trying. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think Rob Manfred is trying to get to the informed players. He's getting to the uninformed players, and he's getting to the people who Major League Baseball are calling up. It's 52% of the league has less than 3 years of service. Of the guys with more than 3 years of service, 52% of them never make it to free agency. So that whole group, that's who he's talking about. The guys that make it to free agency, he's not talking to them. He's talking to the majority in the clubhouses. So he's bringing those guys in and being like, hey, guy with a year of service, just coming in here to talk about how we can make you guys more money. And that guy's like, sure, I can use more money. Oh, sick, you brought over this star. Oh, man, Gary Sheffield's coming in with you. Dexter Fowler's coming. I remember watching those guys. It's all young players that they're bringing in to smooth those over. Bryce Harper might dab somebody up, but if you come in and start talking, he's not looking to like talk to players that like he played against and battled against for a majority of his career.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, what do you expect a veteran player to say to one of the players that Rob is whining and dining to go around for these meetings? Like, oh, everything you made your money on, now you think we should change it? Oh, yeah, that sounds like a great idea.
I mean, Rob doesn't do anything by accident also in the name of the system.
No doubt. That's why there's a massive distrust issue, and he has been on the record multiple times, though.
But
he's been on the record
read
for
Evan
this.
Drellick's article in The Athletic about I was quoted in it because we had the Dexter Fowler interview, which kind of opened this a little bit eyes to people. But he says it in there. He's like, there's a storm coming, which everyone kind of knows. But now that's like two sides. It's almost like politically, right? Like how left and right we are, whichever side you're on. Like, why can't we just get to the middle? It's almost like with the owners and the players. Why can't we just get to the middle? And everyone says we want to grow the game. We do, but why can't we get it together? Instead, it's like, we got to do this. And then the other side's like, we got to do this, right? Like, why can't we just meet in the middle somewhere?
So Commissioner Manfred's on the record saying that he has done a bad job of relations with players. He will say that himself. And he says he's trying to fix that. And that's part of why he does meetings. Yet the meetings from most players I speak with are just about him using innuendo to talk about a salary cap. So you want to make friends, right? And say peace. It's like going to war and then after war saying, let's actually have meetings and let's have dinner. But then during that dinner, all you do is talk about the war. Do you know what I'm saying?
I get you, yeah.
Like if you actually cared about relations, you would have that meeting and be like, how we doing? I'm not going to talk about anything with labor. How we doing? Like, let's try and just be friends and talk about even smaller issues and also just growth. Let's talk about growth. How do we make more money? How do we bring in younger fans? Right? But to me, it sounds like you're getting an hour with a team and the hour is revolving around the salary cap. I don't get it. I don't get that. Like, I understand that everything's for a reason, but that's like too blatant. If you're trying to win people over, don't just come at them with the thing that's going to piss them off. Right? Isn't that just a bad tactic PR-wise? Think about it. If you guys are players, I'll stay out of the rest of this. You're a player. Someone comes in and says, hey, I've had crappy relations. They come in and say, hey, business is not great or should be better because we should have a salary cap. What would your response be?
No. Just immediate no. That's not.
Here's the other thing. Yeah, it would be no. But here's my thing. For veteran players, if you talk to about salary caps in other leagues, NBA, NFL, NHL, the players who are already, like, let's say they somehow do get a salary cap. Say the salary cap is $200 million, and the Phillies are at $250 already. I don't even know the number. These are just fake numbers, okay? Then did Harper, Turner, Real Muto, Schwarber, the guys who were signed, Castellanos, have to give money back to help them get under the cap?
Yes.
Like,
that's what happens in other sports.
It's like, it doesn't make sense. Now, in other leagues, they've done this. The NHL gave back a quarter of their salaries in 1 year after they were locked out for a year just to get back on the ice.
But also players all will, like, even Brady
and
did
NFL
it.
happens all the time.
Like
NFL
Tom
players
Brady
are like,
did it.
oh, I got to get cut, go to a new team because I'm signed to a guaranteed deal, but I'm cut before minicamp. And I mean, I don't know. Listen, I don't know enough about it, but I know this. Players don't want to give back money.
Yeah, and super teams are formed when a bunch of players get together and they're like, hey, we're all going to take less so that we can dominate here. So that's what they want because you're restricted at that point. You can't have an open market. Let's be real. There's plenty of fans that feel like their team doesn't have a shot. The problem is most of the fan groups are rooting for organizations that are not run properly. That's it. And I don't know what the answer is in those meetings. I'm sure Harper goes, hey, we're in Philly. What's going on in Pittsburgh? And I would love, again, for this to be streamed and to hear his answer. What's the answer? What's going on? Why is that a thing?
What do the owners and the players have in common about baseball? They both want to make the most money possible. Can we agree on that?
100%.
Okay. So that's what we should be doing is how do we grow the game? The tagline for Foul Territory, baseball the way it's supposed to be covered. We are supposed to grow this game. Everybody on this show, working with this show, loves the game of baseball. If you are trying to get selfishly one side more than the other side, you're cutting your own feet out from underneath you because you're not allowing yourself, baseball's not allowing itself to get out of its way, sell the product, which is the players, which is the game that's being played, and then that rising tide raises all ships. Everybody gets, so there is a happy medium somewhere in the middle. Players say no salary cap. Owners say salary cap. Okay, we couldn't be farther apart on those two issues. Wipe it off the table. We're not talking about it. Sorry, that's not growing the game. How do we grow the game? And it's a content. It's letting the players actually have a say in different things. It's having owners maybe be a little more out front and explain to players and not be so cloak and dagger and, well, we would never actually open our books to anything because we don't want you to see this. Like, there has to be a give and take. So everybody's like, just open all of your books and say, you know what? This is what's going to grow the game of baseball that we all love and we all want to compete at.
Also, I'm just reminding everyone, because we talk about this somewhat frequently, we already have a soft cap. It's called a luxury tax. Most teams don't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
or if they jump underneath it.
Right, but they're not going to suddenly be like, oh, now we're going to have a cap, and everybody is,
going to go up to the cap number.
Right, everyone's a cap of 200 and a floor of 175. Like, come on, this stuff is ridiculous. So anyway, we'll cover it a lot more in the offseason, but it's super big news when you have one of the five faces of the sport going up to the commissioner of baseball and saying, get the bleep out of here, and then they go back and forth. And the fact that someone didn't get that on camera, damn, we missed out.
Yeah, who's gonna get it?
I'm kidding. What?
Last word. And always remember, owners make way more than players. Even Juan Soto. There's not one owner that makes less than Juan Soto, who's the highest paid player in the game right now.
Correct. Net worth of any owner in baseball is much higher than Juan Soto. It is not even close. Not even in the same stratosphere. Not even close. All right. Coming up next, back to trades and signings. Seth Lugo got a little extension. Royals are buying, baby. Kratz, if I'm new to card collecting and I'm looking for the safest, most trusted way in the game to acquire cards or to buy a card but not go through a ton of work where I'm going to the shows, I'm going online doing auctions, I want it all in one place, I'm going to
Arena Club. It's all in one place. You know you're getting a good price whether you're buying it or you're selling cards. If you're new to it, you don't want all the other crappy cards. You can get the ones that you want. You can start your collection. And if you get them on Arena Club, your collection will look a boss.
That's right. And may I mention, they also have Pokemon cards in those slab packs that we talk about every week. You can rip a pack for as low as $25 and hit on a card that's worth tens of thousands of dollars because every pack has grails that are at least 20x the price of the pack. So get involved at arenaclub.com/foul. Use the code FOUL to get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase. Great comment by J Farrell 305 in the chat. CBA should be decided by swing off Harper versus Manfred. Gotta have fun. Which reminds me, I do want to shout out David K was the commenter last week on Friday afternoon who randomly was just like, Nick Kurtz is a G. I mean, that's just
Nick Kurtz was
crazy.
Good before this game.
I know that, but just the context, there was nothing going on related to it, and he just randomly put that in the chat. And then that night, I'm like, oh my gosh. Anyway, he debuted on the 23rd, Kurtz. He's got the second best OPS since to Aaron Judge. His first home run wasn't until his 17th game, second in his 24th game. and then he went on a 22 homer and 43 game stretch through Friday. This was a top 5 pick last year out of Wake Forest. He went number 4 overall. Just amazing. Do you know the last 4 homer game before Gino Suarez, which was in April? So you had 2 this year. Do you know the last ones before that? You want me to give you guys the year? It's been a while.
Scooter Gennett was one of them.
That was one in 2017. And the other one was JD Martinez.
JD.
Last American League player with a 4-homer game was in 2012. Do you guys know who that was? It's been a while.
2012. Jeez. What team? Give me a team.
JD was with the Diamondbacks, right? It was against the Dodgers.
Yes.
Yeah. Josh Hamilton just in.
Oh, yeah, in that game where the Orioles gave up like 30.
Is that what it was?
I think it was that game where they gave up like 30 runs.
One more. 9th time in history of players scored 6 runs. Only 9 times ever. Last time was 2004. Joe Randa of the Royals.
That's awesome.
The Joker.
Crazy. All right, let's dive in on the Kansas City Royals because they said, I don't care how many games back we are. We believe in our team, and we are buying. They trade for Randal Grichuk, get themselves someone who can handle a little bit of left-handed pitching. They got a lot of lefty bats in the outfield. Jack Hagg just went on the injured list too, Jack Hagg-Leon. So Grichuk joins the party for this team. There you go. A little trade with the Diamondbacks over the weekend. And breaking news on Sunday night with their starting rotation, which still has Cole Reagans on the shelf and Chris Bubich hit the IL this weekend. Other side of the spectrum, Kratz, your former team, signed up Seth Lugo to an extension. He was in some trade rumors. It sounded like they wanted to keep him, and they figured something out. So now he's staying. It's $20 million per season in 2026 and 2027. There's a vesting option for $20 million in 28, or a club option for $17 million in 2028, or a $3 million buyout plus a $3 million signing bonus. Seth Lugo has been fantastic with the Royals, a low to mid 3s ERA and close to 60 starts with them since he joined them. So it's 2 years guaranteed $46 million. Otherwise, he would have been a free agent after this season. Thoughts?
I mean, tremendous. I think tremendous for both sides. It locks up their uncertainty as far as pitching. They got rid of Singer. So to me, that was a guy that was going to kind of be that Kansas City Royal pitcher, goes out there, throws strikes, gets you deep into games. And to me, maybe I just haven't looked at what else is out there. But I know there's a couple dudes that signed some nice 2-year, $38 million deals. And so you're essentially getting Seth Lugo for a little bit more than that. He was an all-star last year. I think he was top 5 in Cy Young. Maybe if I'm wrong, he was second. He was second in Cy Young last year. So this park suits him, and I assume he loves it because I've never heard anybody play for Kansas City that's like, I really don't like playing there. It's a sick place to play. Great fan base, too.
Good for him. Good for him.
Do you like the move?
Yeah, I like the move
Kansas
for both
City?
sides. He's a quality pitcher. It'll take, if he was a free agent, he'd probably get a little bit more, but he likes where he's at. He's been great for them. He's a veteran presence in their club. It's like when they signed Waka. It's kind of the same thing, right? He fits. They like him. He's been effective. $20 million for a good starting pitcher is not really a lot of money.
Last year he was a 1, and this year what? He's a 2?
Yeah, I mean, and if they get Reagan, if you go into the next season with Waka, Lugo, healthy,
Reagans, Bubich.
And then what's the guy, Crawford? The guy who's
Cameron?
No, Cameron. Noah Cameron.
Cameron. That's been really good for him.
It's a good rotation.
It's a pretty good rotation to start. You add some pieces in the back end. They have Estevez. They get some good years out of some guys. They could be a team.
But that's why they're like, don't count us out yet, because entering today to the games tonight, they're 52-54, which is not great, but they wouldn't be the only team that's hovering around the 500 mark that suddenly goes on a run in the second half of the year. There's been plenty. The Atlanta Braves in 2021 were that team until August, and then they took off. I think the Royals are going to do something here. I think they're going to surprise some people and do something else big. One more bat.
Maybe.
Man.
You don't think so?
I mean, I'd love
there's
it.
not superstars available besides Gino Suarez, but I do think they're going to do something else. They've already indicated that they're buying a little bit. So good for them. You feel good about Lugo. Reagans is going to come back. I'm not sure the extent of Bubic. It sounds like he's still getting some testing done, but good for you. They still think they've got something this year and they can hang around. And they're probably, Kratz, looking at the rest of the American League like, if one team falls off here, we sneak into a wild card spot.
And they feel like they can. They feel like they built their team to win, which is, we just got done having a lengthy conversation about money, salary cap, all this stuff. The Royals believe, JJ Piccolo and that front office ownership believes they can win, and they do it the way that they do it. Athleticism, pitching in a monstrous park. That's why I have a tough time. Like they're gonna have a tough time luring a hitter to get there. They were in on Santander, so clearly they have some cash. I think Santander's, their final offer came after he had already agreed to hit the Toronto final offer. So luring a free agent there that bangs, that has some slug, maybe is a little bit tougher, but this team doesn't want to just win this year. And I kind of like what Jim Bowden said about that. They're not saying, oh, this is an all-in, big-time rentals. This is just a team that wants to try to take a shot this year, but continues to see this winning window in the next few years too.
I think if most people were asked, will Bobby Witt be better in the second 2 months here, the last 2 months, than he has been in the first 4? He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been last year's version. Sure, I'll take that. I think he could blow up for the last couple months of the season. Salvi was better after a really slow start. Michael Garcia has been a really solid player for them. Jack Caggs maybe comes back, Caglione, and blows up for the last couple months of the year. So I could see this team sneaking in the playoffs. Good for them. I like this. And nice signing with Lugo, who has 1 billion pitches. I think he's got 9 pitches. All right, coming up next, Kyle Gibson recently announced his retirement from the game after a nice long career. We're going to talk to him on FT. Hey, have you heard of Built? No? Do you pay rent? Yes? Okay, good. Let's talk. There's no cost to join, and just by paying rent, you unlock flexible points that can be transferred to your favorite hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and much more. When you pay rent through Built, you unlock 2 powerful benefits. First, you earn one of the industry's most valuable points on rent every month. No matter where you live or where your landlord is, your rent now works for you, and you gain access to exclusive neighborhood benefits in your city. Built's neighborhood benefits are things like extra points on dining out, complimentary post-workout shakes, and much more. Unique experiences that only Built members can access. And when you're ready to travel, Built points can be converted to your favorite miles and hotel points around the world, meaning your rent can literally take you places. So if you're not earning points on rent, my question is, what are you waiting for? Start paying rent through Built and take advantage of your neighborhood benefits by going to joinbuilt.com/foul. That's joinbilt.com/FOUL. Make sure to use our URL so that they know we sent you. Some other little moves. Eric Fetty traded to the Braves from the Cardinals. He had been DFA'd just for cash or a player to be named later. Carlos Carrasco also traded to the Braves. They lost their entire opening day starting rotation.
They just need innings. They don't have anybody to fill these innings. And they have 2 veteran guys can fill innings for him. Fetty was just DFA'd by the Cardinals. Carrasco was in minor leagues, wasn't he, with the Yankees?
Yeah, I think so.
They just need guys that can throw innings.
I know.
Right now, they know they're not making the playoffs. They're just trying to get through this season.
Braves are a season
and not hurt their young guys.
16 games under 500.
And not hurt their young guys. Because I don't know that they have any young guys that they could bring up at this point. They just need innings from anybody. They're like, please, you can pitch. You can give us 5-6 innings to start. We'll take you.
Strider didn't start the season, right? Because he came in. So the 5 that were on the opening day rotation, Kratz, all hurt right now.
That's crazy. That's a crazy stat, especially what AJ said about they don't have anybody in the minor leagues. What are the Braves known for since I've been alive? Pitching. Since the 90s. Pitching. They just produce pitching. And they're all hurt. Just super unlucky season. Super, super, super unlucky.
They were swept this weekend by a hot Rangers team. Hey, congratulations to Kyle Gibson, who just announced his retirement from the game and joins us right now on FT. Kyle, good to see you. Congratulations, man. How does it feel?
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. It feels awesome. I've missed out on a lot of family time, as these guys know. And, I mean, you traveled around, called a lot of baseball games, you know as well. So it's been good to jump right in and be a dad to our 4 kids. I'm out visiting my parents right now in Indiana, so seeing them and seeing a couple grandparents and doing things that I haven't been able to do for a long time. So it's been a lot of fun.
Was the decision tough when you made it? Did you want to try and come back again for this season and even next? Or were you like, I'm thinking about it? Because I know you started up ramping up late with the Orioles, and then they threw you right into the fire.
Yeah, I mean, the whole late spring training was kind of weird, honestly. I think that was a tough decision for me to leave home at that point because I had missed all of spring training basically, and was getting more acclimated to being home in March and what that looks like. So, I wanted to go play when I ended up signing with the Orioles and talking to the Orioles, and it's hard to go to the Rays. That was a place that I'd looked at probably the last 4 or 5 years of possibly playing there and just really loving what they do with pitching. So I kind of had decided, let's go there, spend 3 weeks with them in the minor league system, see if there's a few things I can adjust and work on, and see what happens at the end of it. And I threw the ball really well, felt awesome physically, and they're just, for whatever reason, timing, age, whatever it is, there really wasn't the opportunity that I thought was going to be there when I had thrown the ball well. So came home, just so happened that my opt-out date lined up with the family lake trip that my wife and kids have gone by themselves on with their family every year. So I drove down to Arkansas, went to the lake trip, and started thinking over the next couple of weeks what it was going to look like.
Has there been a moment? Has there been a moment when you've looked at Elizabeth and gone, you still like me being here? Or is it like, where she's like taking care of the kids and then you hop in, you're like, I want to be helpful, and you're not as helpful?
Yes, Kratz, that happens every year, and this is no different. I normally disrupt timing, disrupt schedules, and I did it in the middle of the year 2 or 3 times now. So, I sat down probably, a week and a half ago and started, writing some thank yous and stuff that I want to post, and she goes, wait, are you sure you want to do this? I think those questions are always going to come up. Everybody asks, about, when to retire. And, she kept saying, well, if you want to keep pitching, keep playing. And I said, I'm always going to want to pitch. So this has a lot more to do with wanting to be around you and the kids more, and wanting to be around my parents and grandparents and her family more, because I'm always going to want to play baseball. You know how that is. Competing and doing that, there's just nothing like it.
I don't know. I don't ever want to have to see another slider again. So maybe it's different. Maybe you pitchers are built different. But you said the Orioles. You said the opportunity wasn't quite what I thought it would be. Can you explain that a little bit more?
The Orioles was that opportunity was a good one. There was a little bit of me that was. We had talked to him probably 10 or 12 days prior to me signing. And I don't know why. There was just something about it that, at the time, 10 days prior, that I wasn't, as comfortable with it. Could have been that everybody in our family was sick and we were going through the middle of a tough time just trying to get healthy. And then when we talked 2 weeks later, toward the end of March, I felt a lot better about it and really enjoyed my time back there. I love those guys. Great organization. Enjoyed being, with both the minor league teams that I was with. And sure, the 4 starts didn't work out. But, that's a really good group of guys. It kind of then going to Tampa, that was an awesome situation. The one that I just wasn't really sure about the opportunity was just after. I had a couple chances after I opted out at Durham, and the opportunities didn't seem like they were quite what I was looking for. Whether it was only a bullpen, kind of a short term inning situation, maybe like you guys were talking with the Braves, just wasn't really one that seemed like a long term. Hey, you're going to be one of the guys here for the next 4 months, and let's go after this.
Kyle, was there a moment when you were like, okay, I'm done. I know you said that your opt-out date coincided with your family's lake trip. Was there a moment when you're in Durham or in Baltimore or wherever you were when you just like, I don't want to do this anymore? Because listen, I mean, I had to retire. Kratz had to retire. You know, is there a moment when you just said, oh man, you know, whether it was at the lake, maybe you're at the lake with the family and you're like, this is kind of cool. I don't have to work. I don't have to go to pitch 3 days from now, right? I don't know. Because I think we all kind of have that moment now. You know, not all of us hardly anybody gets to go out on their own terms and have the tour and do all that stuff. But was there a moment when you said, I'm okay without playing baseball?
Yeah, I think going into last year, I was actually fine if last year was my last year playing. Living in St. Louis, playing with St. Louis, I had the option for this year. But as a family, we were good if that was our last year. And I really was until I got, the opportunity with the Orioles, even as the fake spring training and not being in spring training kind of drug on. I was okay if that was it, But once I started playing, I never had that moment where, a bad start, I just need to retire. Or I'm a little bit more sore today, I just need to retire. Probably didn't actually happen until probably after that lake trip when I got home and I had to decide, am I going to play catch or am I going to go throw a bullpen or what am I going to do here? And I still felt good. And every time the kids went to bed and it was my time to go work out, I was like, you know what? I don't know that I really want to go do this anymore right now. So I think it was probably more, a week or 10 days after that opt-out, I kind of had, come to the point before I called my agent. I talked to Elizabeth and the family, and I was like, I don't think I want to do that anymore. I don't want to sit and search and jump in and out of the house and go to this team and, maybe get DFA'd and then go find another team. I felt really good about how the results matched up in Durham. And that's really what I was looking for. Just get back to feeling how I knew I could feel. And if there's not an opportunity, there's not an opportunity, and I was good with that.
Maybe if it was rainy at the lake, maybe you would have been like, maybe I'll come back. But I'm sure it was nice. The water was clean, everything. But your track record speaks for itself. Like, people don't understand health, longevity, pitching every day. Did you feel like the Orioles could have given you a little bit longer of a leash than I think 4 starts because of the fact that you are a 30 to 32 starts, however many starts you're allowed to get, you get at the end of every year, it comes out in the wash. Like, that's what you do. Do you feel like 4 starts was just not enough, or was it a chaotic time on a team that wanted to, make the playoffs and you were kind of caught in the wash on that one?
I think everything you just said is probably the case, right? I think if I look back in my career, every year I probably had 4 of the 32 starts that I really wish didn't happen. And it just so happened that, 3 of those were right there in the first 4 starts of the year, I still felt really confident that I could get guys out. Still felt really good that I could go pitch and be successful. And I think, like you said, the Orioles were at a spot where they needed to make a decision. They needed a bullpen guy for that next day after my last rough one. And I just happened to be the guy in the crosshairs that they needed to make the move. So I think they would have liked to have given me more starts. I think they probably thought to themselves it's going to even out. And I feel like I probably would have looked just like the guy that's been there the last 10 or 11, 12 seasons. But, it's the decision that they had to make at the time. So that's just kind of how it goes.
All right. I'm always fascinated by this question. Now what? What do you do all day? Because people ask me all the time, oh, you're retired. You must have all the time in the world. I'm like, I'm way more busy now than when I played. So now what? What do you do all day? Just sit around, right? Feet up, eating bonbons, do nothing, right? Sit at the pool. So what do you do all day?
So, anybody that, has kids and works a lot, right? I mean, you come home, your kids have a schedule. And that's been one thing that's been really cool for me is, we've got an 11-year-old, 8-year-old, and a 5-year-old and 2-year-old. And the 11-year-old and 8-year-old are deep into sports, deep into their activities. And I miss a lot of it, right? So the cool thing for me is I've just been able to jump in and be a part of it. So I haven't had to figure out what to do, for the last month, I haven't had to figure anything out. So I'm just going to enjoy jumping right in and being a dad and being a husband. And then I'm sure there's going to come a time here in a couple of weeks when they go to school. And now I'm like, okay, 3 of the 4 here are gone. What am I going to do today? I did end up getting a new tractor right after I opted out. So that's going to be something I'm going to run around There's a tree that needs to be cut up, but that's only going to take a day. So there's going to be things that are going to need to be done, but we'll see when the kids go back to school, what that's going to look like.
I can see Gibby as the kids are going back to school, like, you guys want to stay home and like play? You guys want to stay home and play with me? Because dad's home, and they're like, no, we want to go to school, see our friends. What are you good at?
That's right.
What are you good at?
What am I good at? Oh, man.
Because as a player, everybody, your entire family, your friends, everything revolves around your schedule. I have to go get my workouts in. Hey, I'm going to the field. Hey, it's my start day. Are you guys getting tickets? It's all about you. And that's the one thing that you do. What are you good at that you're like, yeah. And don't say pickleball, because that's weak. That's a weak choice.
No, nothing to sit there and hang my hat on and be like, oh man, I'm going to go do this 5 days a week and feel really good about it. One thing I'm trying to do is I'm trying to learn how to work on some engines and do some car work. Our kids, our older two, race little side-by-side UTVs in the summer. My father-in-law is the mechanic on all of those. And they're, at times they're fairly easy to work on. I am not mechanically inclined. But I need to be able to wrench a few things here. So for the next rest of this summer, I think I'm going to try and see if he can give me a little bit of a crash course on what it looks like to work on these a little bit more, fix a few things. So then next year he doesn't have to do as much. But our 5-year-old is going to be in it here soon, hopefully. And they have a lot of fun doing that. So if I can take a little pressure off Randy and having to wrench all these little razors, that's going to be something I'm going to try to get good at here over the next 4 or 5 months. It's going to take longer than 4 or 5 months. Who am I kidding? But I'm going to try and work on that a little bit.
Nice little grease under your fingernails. All right.
Yeah,
Two things.
Get after it.
2 things. Favorite teammate, and everyone else is going to be pissed at you because you said this person, and craziest teammate.
Oh, man. I'm going to go position player and pitcher for favorite teammate because I can't, I wouldn't have had the career I had without, Kurt Suzuki behind the dish for the first few years in Minnesota. That guy showed me the ropes on, how to be a pro, how to make adjustments on the mound, how to take a plan that you created and adjust to that plan. He told me one time in 2014 against the Tigers when they're trying to clinch the division, in the 3rd inning, he goes, hey, we're going to throw fastballs until they start respecting your fastball. I'm like, are you kidding me? We're going to throw Miggy and Victor and all these guys just heaters? Well, I look up in the 5th inning, and I haven't thrown an off-speed pitch for the last 3 innings. So he was a special one. And as a pitcher, oh, man, Mike Pelfrey was that guy in Minnesota for me that kind of showed me the ropes. And if it's not him, it's Lance Lynn. He's another Indiana guy that really got to enjoy getting to know and being teammates a few different times. And, I would say as a pitcher, he's the guy.
Who's the craziest, though? Who's the craziest?
Craziest.
Was Lance the craziest?
Oh, man. No, I feel like had I been teammates with him, pre-children and pre that, maybe. I've heard that, from his own words, he settled down a little bit. So he might have been. Craziest teammate. Oh, man. Shoot. I don't know that I've ever been asked that question, Kratz, quite honestly. I don't know that anybody really wants their name out there as the craziest teammate. Had quite a few guys who are pretty damaging to equipment when they make outs. I feel like that's the crazy part to me. I don't know how you position players did it, quite honestly. But, man, I don't know. I'll have to answer that question next time I'm on here if you guys have me back on. You put me on the spot with a crazy teammate. Maybe I'll think about it here before we're done.
Fine. Yes. Homework, and then we'll talk about it again at some point. My last one, you pitched for the Orioles in 2023. They were awesome. They won 101 games. I know the playoffs didn't work out the way you guys wanted to, ran into a hot Rangers team. Then you were just on this Orioles team, I know, for a shorter period of time. How difficult was that when you were there? I don't remember. I think you were still there when they made the manager change too, and almost everyone I've spoken to just loves Brandon Hyde. So how tough was that to navigate the couple months that you were there when this team was supposed to be good again, and it was probably the biggest disappointment of a team in baseball this year?
Yeah, you want to talk about a wild day. We had a wild 24 hours. We had a team meeting that Friday night. I actually pitched the day he got fired, so I got a message about 30 minutes before I was heading to the park. Hey, we got a team meeting at the park. He got relieved that day. I went out and pitched terrible. I got relieved of my duties later that day. So what a 24 hours that was. Everybody loves Brandon Hyde, man. He was so much fun to play for. I'm sure that was a tough decision for a lot of people in that organization because he was beloved by a lot of the front office, community people, players, everybody. And it was kind of a tumultuous season there. I think between some injuries, between some players struggling and starting off cold, I think Anthony Santander was somebody who did a lot for that locker room. So that was something that was a jolt to the system. And it was just kind of the perfect storm in a negative way, quite honestly. And then how it is in other places I've been, unfortunately, when they make changes, they normally start at the top, and Hyder was kind of the guy to go and see what that does. But it was a wild couple months. Obviously, it wasn't what I thought. March 25th, whenever I signed with them, was going to happen because they still have a really good roster, still have a lot of great players. We'll see what this deadline brings, but it's still a really good group of guys that was just really going through it. I heard you guys talking about the Braves before I came on here. They're a team that's kind of going through it. A really good team going through it, and the Orioles are the same way. Baseball is so funny. Just nothing's guaranteed, and that's why when you guys talk about the Royals making trades and kind of quote going for it, when you have a chance to make the playoffs as a player, you want to go for it every time. I understand front offices have their ideas and their plans, but you just don't know when it's going to work out, and sometimes injuries derail what you think is going to be your chance, and then you don't have a chance. So I feel like you always need to take advantage of when you have a chance to make the playoffs. Go try, man. Go make the playoffs and see if you can do something special.
Well said. The winning window always closes sooner than almost everyone expects it to. Kyle, thank you so much. Great stuff, man. Great to have you on. Obviously, we would love to have you back. And congratulations. Enjoy the fam time.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Kyle Gibson with us on FT. Be right back. BetMGM free game of the day tonight is Colorado and Cleveland, 6:40 Eastern. Live streaming available to all BetMGM customers logged in with funded accounts. Let's go back to Friday. Kratz, you were the one that pulled off a dub. Plus 177 with your little under piece. Arizona, Pittsburgh.
117.
Oops. 117. Still
close,
good.
Scott.
Still good. Yep. Ones look like sevens to me sometimes. Maybe that's why I'm down 247, or is it 241? But Kratz, you picked up a dub on Friday. Actually, AJ, I think, is on back-to-back heaters. You go, and then AJ will flow through.
I'm going with the over. I'm going to take an over. I'm just straight up, no parlay. I'm going to go the over in the Cardinals game. And I'm looking at it over 8. I feel like the Marlins, Cardinals, going to be able to score some runs against each other. I think it's like a 10 or 11 run game. So if you want to buy it up a little bit, I'm not against it. But coming out at minus 115 to win 100.
Okay, nice. I'm going full Kratz pick today. Phillies money line against the White Sox because Sanchez is pitching. He's been really good. And I'm going under 15.5 outs for Rich Hill because Rich Hill's 45 years old and it's hot as hell in Kansas City, and he's not going to make it over 5 innings.
I think he did last time, didn't he? In his first start?
I think he made it 5, didn't he?
Oh, was it 5
I
exactly?
thought he went 5 innings.
You might be right.
Yeah.
45-year-old Rich Hill.
Didn't either. Yeah.
No, he's not going to go. He's not going to run out there for 6-7 innings. He's out there to go 5 and dive.
Yeah, eat some innings, but not too many innings.
Not too many.
Yeah.
Not all the innings.
The curveball doesn't probably go very well.
It was 5 innings, for that debut.
5 innings.
Yep. All right.
Don't doubt us, Scott.
I didn't doubt that it was 5 innings. I just like to confirm because otherwise someone comes after me 3 hours later when they watch the show on demand. Anyway, when we come back, we'll go over an injury that helps solidify a trade that won't happen or rumors that should be squashed.
That was cryptic.
Hot corner. Marcelo Meyer is on the IL. The rookie has a right wrist sprain for the Red Sox. That means Ceddanne Rafaela is going to get a lot of infield time. That means they have 3 outfielders.
That means Jarren Duran ain't getting traded.
That means Jarren Duran's not getting traded. Okay. Also, Masataka Yoshida is not hitting well. He just came back. Chris Cotillo put out a tweet. I think this was last night or yesterday. Gore said he expects to see Rafael at second base a lot. And an outfield of Anthony, Duran, Abreu with Yoshida DHing. Turns out they didn't have too many outfielders after all. And then later, Cotillo pointed out how Yoshida's not looking good yet with the bat. That might turn around, but people were like, oh, we got to find a spot for him. And we'll see. But they're not trading Duran.
Something usually happens to make all this work out. And
exactly.
This time it was Meyer going down, Rafaela moves to the infield.
And he just straight, immediate impact. Rafael, the play he made last night, caught the line drive, dives back into second to get the out with a runner on second. Obviously, there's 1 out at the time. Ends up going to review. He is one heck of a defender. Swing, he's going to swing too. He swings a little bit more than AJ even swung.
He likes to swing.
By the way, speaking of swingers, I saw PCA on Sunday. I was at the White Sox. They were playing the Cubs, and I did the game Saturday, hit a homer. So now I just must have this effect on a lot of people. Because PCA came up to me and I go, hey, take it easy on the White Sox today, right? And he's like, man, I can't take it easy on anybody. I've had a rough week. I'm like, well, last time I did your game, you hit a homer. And he goes, all right. And first at bat, 2-run double. I'm like, man, I don't know.
Well,
give me love. You get hits.
Yeah. All right, let me know who you're talking to next time.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it was unbelievable.
You've got the magic touch. But anyway, we got a lot of rumors to sift through over the next couple days. One that we probably won't deal with is the Red Sox trading Jarren Duran. It looks like they should be doing some buying, though.
Yes.
Perhaps a starter and a reliever. Chapman is a little hurt. I don't know if it's an IL stint, but his velo was down a ton. I don't remember what they said post-game, but it sounds like it's not bad. He was down to like 93, 94. He's pitching 99 average heaters this year.
It happens.
They took him out. Yeah. And he usually has like the 1 or 2 weeks a year where he's just off kilter. But the velo, it's usually command. The velo was the problem here. Anyway, coming back with Slap.
FT Nation, what's up? All my boys at FT, all my beautiful people at FT, what's happening? It's your boy Parlay Pap, but I'm Pick'em Pap today because I'm going to be a sucker. I don't know. Maybe I'll be a sucker today. The Mariners are at minus 110 money line against the Sacramento A's. Luis Castillo for the Mariners is pitching. I don't see how this is possible, but I'm taking the Mariners, and we're going to put 100 on it. And let's see if we get that cheese, or we might be a sucker.
That's almost an even money game tonight.
I had locked it in before he even locked that in, and I couldn't understand why. And all I thought was exactly what he said. Pap always says, this might be a sucker bet. Might be a sucker bet.
I mean, JP Sears is decent. He's got home run issues, but he's got decent
homers
stuff.
Is Raleigh going to hit in Sacramento this weekend?
Right?
MVP pick.
Wow.
You guys all laughed at me. Woo, woo.
Nobody laughed.
Same train.
Nobody laughed.
Same train. I had Cal MVP. I got Red Sox money line. They just took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, feeling themselves a little bit. Maybe they get a trade today. Who knows? Richard Fitz.
That fits.
Against Simeon Woods Richardson. Twins team dwindling. They're going to lose a dude or 2 or 5. I mean, they should be pretty decent sellers here. So I've got Boston. That's another even money-ish game, minus 110 to win a hundo on that one. There's your locks of the day. And BetMGM's giving you a chance to win a prize every day during baseball season. It's the BetMGM Swing for the Fences free-to-play game. Visit the BetMGM app to access that game, and you can score a prize if you get a successful result, like a single, double, triple, or a homer. If you're out, try again the next day. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Be back for Slap. Ichiro stole the show yesterday. Hey, let's slap. Ichiro spoke yesterday for the Hall of Fame ceremony. The Dave Parker poem, too, that he wrote was incredible for that speech, the late, great Dave Parker, of course, from his son speaking. But Ichiro stole the show for his jokes. He's known as a funny dude, and he showed off his skills. He said he didn't know who the Marlins were when they called him to sign in 2015. How about the writer that he invited over to his house for dinner who didn't vote for him, the one writer? He said, offer ended. He took it off the table. Too late. Didn't come show yourself. You're done. He was good.
It was comedic gold. When he said that, he said, thank you for David Sampson coming to today's induction. He's like, I had no idea what team you were.
That's good. That's impressive. Big turnout for him with Seattle fans, with international baseball fans. Of course, a ton of people coming in from Japan. So I give a lot of credit to him. He said easy on the hazing because he's a rookie again. It's the third time he's a rookie kind of thing.
And he said
Japan, then MLB, then this.
And he said, thanks to the Yankees fans, he said, even though you're here to see CC, it's cool. Thanks for all your support. Like, he was everywhere.
Former Yankee.
Yep.
All right, we're back for a few minutes here. Now, charged amount, we were going to go over trades, and then we were going to later go over rumors, but then the Clase news took over. So I'll try and get a couple things in here now.
Hold on, before we get into anything, can we discuss the series that's about to happen?
Cubs-Brewers?
Cubs-Brewers. We didn't even mention it.
Yeah, but people want to hear about trades. Like, what are the Cubs doing? What are the Brewers doing?
I don't know, but I know that Matthew Boyd and two All-Stars are pitching against each other tonight in a series that's gigantic against Mizorowski.
Sign me up.
Geez, you
I'm
can pick
locked.
a game to go to. That's the game I want to go to.
They're both battling for Gino Suarez,
Yeah.
right?
Who
Patrick
knows what else
Mooney
they're battling
last night said even though Shaw's playing better, they're still in on Suarez. The Brewers seem to be in on Suarez. Bob Nightingale put out today that the Tigers don't want Suarez to leave because the Reds are in town. They want him to stay and acquire him.
The Cubs and Brewers have the best record in the National League.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing for the division and wild card seeding and players. This is a great series. We didn't even mention it.
Well, we haven't gotten to a lot of things today. Yeah, there's way too much news on
the
Monday.
Tigers. The fact that the Tigers are 1-12 their last 13 games.
I think they've lost 12 of 14.
And been
right?
getting walloped.
Two.
They won yesterday.
2-12. Well,
they
they won last night. Sorry, they were 1-12.
Yeah, Jack Flaherty pitched well for them. They needed it. And
Skubal pitched great from the other night and still couldn't win.
No. They dropped the first 3 against the Blue Jays. Mets have won a season high, tying 7 in a row. They swept the Giants, who looked awful. 0 for 23 Giants with runners in scoring position over the weekend. That was ugly.
Blue Jays are really good, by the way.
They are really good.
Putting some distance.
Best record in baseball.
They have got some distance.
Who are they getting?
I don't know.
Got to get a reliever, like a big one.
They're getting somebody. Clase.
If you do, it's not going to be very helpful. At least not for baseball. Yeah, too soon. Duran for the Blue Jays? No?
They're not trading him individually.
He's not in the division.
Sorry. I was
not Jaron. Sorry, Johan.
Duran. I mean, sure.
I like Duran there because when you look at all the list of all those guys that are out there, it's strikeout. Duran can strike dudes out, but the Blue Jays play great defense, and I think there's a lot of surplus value there. And I think they could get. I think they could be in play for Griffin Jacks and Duran. But that's kind of who I was leaning towards when we were talking to JB earlier. I thought they could really make a huge splash and just crush the rest of the American League.
I want a reliever for the Tigers who's big swing and miss. I think they're like 28th in strikeout percentage from their bullpen. And I think they need an offensive boost now with what's going on here. There's a lot happening. We'll do lots of rumors tomorrow. Cardinals are still trying to get Gray and Arenado moved. I mean, there was a ton from the weekend. Mets called about Alcántara. Padres are looking into Steven Kwan, Ramon Laureano. Where's Helsley going?
He wasn't getting traded. Now he might.
Helsley? Helsley's a lock. He's getting dealt.
Phillies
All
might
right,
get
big.
Suarez. Phillies might get Eugenio Suarez with Bohm's rib cracked.
Oof.